What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things. I hope you're all having a great Sunday so far. Today we're going to be talking about suppressors or silencers, cans, biscuit busters, hush puppies, whatever the hell you want to call them. Now, this is not going to be a very scientific video. I'm not going to have any decibel readers or any kind of fancy equipment to test any sound signatures, but instead this is just going to be a laid-back chat about cans like this and what makes them so awesome. I just so happen to have some of the best available here in front of me today, coming from a crowd favorite, Surefire. The Surefire SOCOM 2 series suppressors are some of the most advanced hard-use cans available today. These are the cans that were awarded the US military contracts after winning the most extensive and rigorous suppressor trials in the US SOCOM's history. They are all about compact size, minimal weight, superior reduction of sound and dust signatures, and not to mention their extreme durability. These have the ability to virtually eliminate the first round flash as well as reduce back pressure, which lowers the suppressed cyclic rate. These second gen models feature a new front plate and baffle enhancements from the original US SOCOM award-winning models, pretty much improving on greatness. These SOCOM suppressors also mount up using Surefire's rock-solid mounting system, allowing you to take them off and put them back on with ease. Now, before we get into these two, let's have a quick little sidebar because I have something that sort of goes hand in hand with these SOCOM suppressors, and it's really impressive. Throughout this entire video, it's going to kind of be hard to get a real understanding for what these things sound like because of camera technology and microphones, things like that. But just check this out real quick. Here I have a Ruger bolt action precision 22 loaded up with some 22 quiet ammo, and on the end here I have the Surefire Ryder 22S. This thing is obviously super lightweight, it is tiny, and it basically blends in with the barrel here. From a distance, you probably couldn't even tell that this was a suppressor. It's completely serviceable, it comes with all of the tools to take it apart and do whatever you need to do to it, and I'll just let this thing speak for itself. That's real. Let's see how close I can get the suppressor to the microphone. I honestly think that the trigger braking is louder than subsonic ammo through this thing. I'll shoot it into the water at about probably 75 yards. You can probably hear it hitting the water louder than you can hear the actual gun. It's so insane. That is a really cool suppressor. So I figured you guys might like that quick little sidebar, but now we're moving into why you actually clicked on this video for these SOCOM suppressors. We are, of course, taking a look at the SOCOM 556 RC2 and the Mini 2, but we're going to start with the RC2 right here. If you want to know all the detailed specs on these things, like the weight and dimension, things like that, check out the description down below. I will list out everything that you need to know there. And starting with the RC2 here, this thing was basically designed for shorter length barrels. It's going to be optimized for something around a 10-inch barrel length. So here I have my BCM 11.5-inch pistol, so this thing should work just fine on a build like this here. Now, if I pop this thing off, you will see how little this suppressor actually is. It may seem like it adds a lot of length, but as you can see here, when this thing is down over that war comp, it's really only adding about 4 inches, probably a little less than 4 inches to the overall length of this gun. Now, the way the mounting system works is the same on the Mini 2. If you take a look on the inside, this is going to be a little bit difficult to see on camera, but right here on the inside you will see a little notch cut out, and that will correspond to the notch on the Surefire War Comp. Depending on how you have this thing timed, for the most part I time mine either mutual, like right in the middle, or for a right-handed shooter since I am righty, but you will notice this little notch here right on the bottom. You simply slide the suppressor on over the top, you can spin it till it drops down like that, Now it's not moving at all. And then you simply take this collar on the bottom and you twist it. You'll hear it sort of ratchet about half a turn, and now that thing is on there. Now, like I mentioned, we're not getting very scientific with this, so I'm actually gonna pop this suppressor off for now and shoot this thing with just the Surefire War Comp on here. In my personal opinion, this is one of the best muzzle devices that you can get right now. I put one on my Atom Smasher 2.0 build, which you guys will see here in a second. But for now, let's just put some shots down as sort of a control. That way I can flash back to those clips and you can see them side by side, suppressed versus non-suppressed. Since the can is not going to be on for this one, I am going to take a step back from the camera. And for right now, I'm going to be shooting some Federal 55 grain 5.56. This is not going to be the most quiet, even through a suppressor, so I have some other ammo to shoot later on as well. Here we go, 4 shots in the dirt. So you'll notice there that this thing shoots really flat. There is really no concussion for me, the shooter, or even really out the sides. That flash is really cut down, and this is perfect for people who are obviously operating overseas. Now I'm going to make this gun safe again so I can throw the suppressor on. Again, I will slide this over the muzzle brake, spin it until those notches line up, bottom collar, tighten that up, and we are good to go. Now, going hot again, like I mentioned, this is not going to be the most quiet ammo ever. It should technically make it hearing safe, but since I shoot so much, I'm still gonna be wearing ears throughout this video just to be safe. Hearing is definitely one thing that once it's gone, it will not come back. So I'm trying to protect this as much as possible while I'm young. Now, since everything is going to be contained in the suppressor, I can stand up closer to the camera. Again, the microphone is not going to pick this up how it actually sounds in real life, but let's see how 55 grain sounds through the RC2. Let's try one with one ear off. Yeah, it's still a little bit loud. I'm definitely gonna keep those on. But the overall suppression so far is definitely great. I guess we can hit some steel. So I actually zeroed this optic with the suppressor on originally, so the point of aim, point of impact is great. Another great thing about this mounting system is that when I take this thing off and then put it back on, it's going to be going to almost exactly the same place every time, which means that I should not have to re-zero this thing at all. Sometimes when you're using a direct thread system, it's not going to line up exactly how it was the last time the can was on there, so it could throw off your point of impact. Now let's shoot the rest of these. Functions great, got lock back. Ejection's a little bit different with the suppressor on there, but it's running good, and it's hot now. Now we're moving on to the Atom Smasher 2.0 with the SOCOM RC2 on here. This is obviously making this rifle length AR much longer, but still not that much longer. Like I mentioned, this thing is optimized for shorter length barrels, so this should make this gun even quieter. Still using the Surefire War Comp muzzle device on here. This thing times up perfectly, just like it does on my BCM. And we got 20 rounds of that same 55 grain ammo, so let's see how this thing sounds. It's ejecting those way far forward, but that is something that can be tuned. I'm gonna check how this sounds with one ear off. This is much more hearing safe for sure, like I kind of thought and imagined. I'm definitely much more comfortable shooting this setup without ears on, so I'll run the rest without ears just for the hell of it. And then this is only gonna get quieter once we switch to some heavier grain ammo. How about steel? Whew. There we go. Now, while we are on the RC2, this thing is still hot and I don't want to take it off just yet. This is still on the rifle length barrel, and now I'm going to be shooting some green tips. So this is some Federal that is 62 grain. For my testing today, this should be as quiet as I will be able to get these things to sound. I'm gonna stick nice and close to the microphone, so hopefully you guys will be able to tell a difference. Now, I would say that that works pretty damn well. For something that is built to have thousands and thousands of rounds put down through it, and then to still be strong enough to have that durability to last pretty much forever, you can't really beat that. Now we're gonna stick with the 16.5-inch barrel, but this time we're gonna switch over to the SOCOM Mini 2. All right guys, now we're moving on to the Mini 2. You can tell just how mini this thing is as it fits in the palm of my hand. This is going to be a lot lighter and a lot shorter than the RC2. And when I hold this thing up to the muzzle device, you can see that it really only adds like an inch or two to the total overall length of this gun. Still mounts up the same. Simply slip this over, rotate it until it locks in there, twist the collar, and we are good to go. Since this is obviously not going to be as quiet as the RC2 on this gun, I'm gonna put my ears back on, and we are still gonna be shooting some of that green tip, 62 grain. Let's see how it sounds. It's ejecting right into the camera. Hold on a second. That should be better. So again, I don't know if you guys can tell on video, but that is still pretty effective for this type of setup. If you're really looking to suppress a long gun like this, but you want to keep that overall length down, then this is probably going to be the best option that you could possibly go with. You're really only adding this much length to the overall, but you're getting that round to be closer to being hearing safe. It's crazy how much technology they can pack into just this little bit to cut back on that sound signature. Pretty impressive. Now this is something that I'm not going to recommend you guys try out there. I searched the internet to try to find this exact setup and I couldn't find it. So the Mini 2 is optimized for a barrel length of 14.5 inches or longer, but I'm just curious to see what this will do on an 11.5-inch barrel. Obviously there's going to be a lot more concussion coming out of this break because the barrel is shorter, and this is obviously not going to suppress as well as the bigger RC2. However, I'm curious what this is going to sound like because look how small this package is now. You got an 11.5-inch pistol suppressed, really only adding like 2 more inches to the overall length, and this is just a really cool, small and neat package. Gonna be running the 62 grain green tips for this, and let's see how it sounds. So surprisingly, it's working pretty well. I'm still gonna leave my ears on because if I had to guess and I had a decibel reader, I would say that that is not hearing safe. However, it's definitely making it more pleasant to shoot than it would be unsuppressed. Since there's going to be less back pressure on a can like this, I also noticed that the ejection is looking a little bit better, but all of that stuff can be tuned after the fact when you know how you actually want to run the gun. Now I'm actually going to save this magazine while I put this thing in the configuration that it will probably be in for the rest of its life. Now let's take a look at my ideal setup. All right, so this is it here, 11.5-inch barrel with the RC2 back on the end, shooting 62 grain ammo. Still a pretty short package. Like I mentioned, you're only adding like 3.8 inches or something like that to the overall length. And it's keeping this thing suppressed, relatively hearing safe, and also very, very functional. pretty much it. So there you guys have a quick look at the Surefire Gen 2 SOCOM line of suppressors. Like I mentioned, a very non-scientific video, but hopefully you guys gained something out of this. If you want to know more about the detailed specs and pricing on these cans, again, you can find that stuff in the description down below. There is a reason why so many departments and agencies and military branches choose to use Surefire equipment, and it's simply because they make some of the best stuff around. So if you guys have any questions on the RC2 or the Mini 2 or even the Ryder 22, let me know in the comments down below. I'll try to answer them as best as possible. However, I am no expert when it comes to stuff like this. There's a ton of good information out there online on these cans already, so if you need some more information, I'd suggest just keep on searching. Now, if you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe. I make new videos every week. That's going to be all for today. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one.